When a long day drifts to its end, our minds often grow heavy with nameless thoughts, worries that linger, questions left unfinished, small moments that keep echoing in quiet corners of our heads. In the rhythm of modern life, we sometimes forget that we still have the right to breathe more slowly, to listen to the stillness within, and to let the mind flow gently like a midnight river. And so tonight, you are here. A place with no pressure to understand everything, no need to memorize anything, no need to chase after a single thing, only a slow, warm, steady voice guiding you through realms of the cosmos far beyond the Milky Way, where the mysteries of space blend seamlessly with the deepest questions inside the human heart. As Carl Sagan once said, "Somewhere something incredible is waiting to be known." Perhaps that incredible thing is not only in distant galaxies, but also right here in the quiet peace you are about to enter. Let me take you on a journey that lasts more than an hour. A journey where you explore the universe and also rediscover the gentle softness within yourself. Slowly. Everything begins with a single breath. When the lights of the day slowly fade and the world outside closes itself layer by layer, there comes a moment when we suddenly find ourselves standing in a vast quietness of the mind. A quietness where all the clutter, all the pressure, all the demands of modern life drift away, distant and dim like stars softening beyond the horizon. And in that very moment, something curious happens. The mind opens more easily, gently turning toward larger questions, questions that reach beyond everyday worries, beyond human exhaustion, stretching outward to the farthest edges of the universe. Tonight, you and I begin that journey from exactly where we stand, a small point of light inside a galaxy that turns slowly in an endless sea of space. The Milky Way, our 100,000 light-year-wide home, holds between 200 and 400 billion stars. A number so vast the human mind cannot truly grasp it, and perhaps it is precisely this immensity that brings a strange sense of calm. Because in the chaos of life, sometimes all it takes is looking up at the night sky to remember that our worries are but tiny ripples in an ocean unimaginably wide. And yet the Milky Way is only a single note in the grand symphony of the cosmos. Just 2.5 million light-years farther, Andromeda drifts a galaxy far larger than our own, silently floating on the cosmic current. And together with the Triangulum Galaxy, the three form the local group, a small family of around 80 galaxies gathered closely together in the vast quiet of space. Understanding this, perhaps you'll feel your breath slow as if the mind suddenly expands into a wider inner space. A space made for lightness, because when we see ourselves as a small part of something so much larger, we begin to let go of the heaviest things we've been carrying. As Seneca wrote in Letters from a Stoic, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. And perhaps standing before the scale of the universe, we see that truth more clearly than ever. Even the local group enormous to us is just a small branch of something larger still, the Virgo supercluster, where more than 1/300 galaxies drift quietly in deep space. And beyond even that, the observable universe contains around 2 trillion galaxies, a number so beautiful, so surreal, it feels like touching the edges of an infinite painting. Imagine it for a moment. You look toward distant hills, and behind them more mountains rise higher, farther, quieter. The universe is the same, layer upon layer, stretching outward, reminding us that although we are small, we've been given the rare privilege of witnessing all of this within the fragile span of a single human life. Those enormous numbers, when spoken softly in the stillness of night, lose their burden of needing to be understood. They become whispers from the universe, gently telling us that the world is far vaster than the walls of narrow thoughts we circle daily. Perhaps that is why Alan Watts once wrote in The Wisdom of Insecurity, "You are an aperture through which the universe is looking at and exploring itself." And maybe that too is why you're listening tonight. Because when we realize we are a small window through which the universe observes itself, loneliness begins to dissolve. Not because we found an answer to existence, but because we've remembered that we belong to something infinitely larger. The universe beyond the Milky Way is much like the deepest layers within the human soul. The farther we travel, the more clearly we understand what is closest to us. When you think of the 5 million light-year distance to Andromeda, you might also think of the distances between your own emotions, feelings you believed were far away, yet might simply be waiting to be seen from a different angle. And knowing that the local group is just a tiny part of the Virgo supercluster may gently remind you that your life too is a small piece of an unseen network woven from countless other lives. In that vastness, there is no fear. Instead, there is peace. Because the larger the universe becomes, the more room we have to let things go. And when galaxies drift past one another glowing softly like silent lanterns in the night, it is there that we find a rhythm for the soul to rest. The rhythm of time, of distance, of existence itself, all blending into a tender whisper that guides us towards sleep. On this quiet night, let the numbers 100,000 light-years, 2 trillion galaxies become cool streams running gently through your mind. Not to memorize, but to relax into. To remind you that you do not have to carry the weight of everything on your small shoulders. Sometimes all it takes is looking up at the sky to realize that we are small enough to stop straining and large enough to feel the infinite beauty of being alive. And now, let the universe beyond guide you into the next part of the journey. Slowly, very slowly. Everything begins with this quiet breath. And as we close our thoughts about distant galaxies, those rivers of light drifting silently across the sea of space, we realize that we have only touched the first surface of a much greater picture. Each galaxy, vast beyond comprehension, is merely a grain of dust floating inside an intricate sacred design woven through the cosmos. Just as within our own inner world, where every memory, every emotion is only one thread in the immense tapestry of a lifetime, the universe is the same. Everything is connected in ways the naked eye will never see. If galaxies are radiant cities, then the cosmic web is the network of invisible roads that bind them together. A colossal structure stretching across billions of light years, where galaxies are not scattered at random but arranged into filaments, walls, and vast membranes forming a three-dimensional lattice surrounding immense voids, empty regions hundreds of millions of light years wide. To many who have gazed upon the cosmic map, it resembles a giant brain, galaxies as neurons, filaments of dark matter as synapses. A beautiful metaphor reminding us that mind and universe may not be strangers, but two reflections of one profound principle of connection. The Great Wall, a massive galactic wall nearly 500 million light-years long, stands as one of the clearest examples of this structure. And in another corner of the sky, the Boötes Void appears like an enormous dark well, a region almost empty, where only a few dozen lonely galaxies drift in a space that should contain thousands. Yet it is this contrast, the dense and the sparse, the bright threads and the dark gaps, that gives the universe its rhythm. Like breath flowing in and out, like expansion and collapse, like the rises and falls every human soul has lived through. Carl Jung once wrote in The Undiscovered Self, "In all chaos there is a cosmos, in all disorder, a secret order." And strangely enough, the cosmic web is the perfect proof of that truth. Out there in what seems like absolute chaos lies a structure so orderly it borders on the poetic, the silent presence of dark matter. But the strangest part is this: everything in this structure was shaped by a kind of matter we cannot touch, cannot see. Dark matter. The unseen substance does not emit light nor reflect it, yet it governs the formation of the entire cosmic web. It is the backbone, the foundation, the guiding pull that gathers galaxies, gas, and light into the structures we observe today. If the universe is a symphony, then dark matter is the silent musician playing the deepest notes, creating the harmony no eye can see, but every galaxy moves to. And when you reflect on this, perhaps you'll slow down a little, the way you do when you realize your own life is held together by its own invisible dark matter, the quiet things that keep you standing, a word of encouragement, a childhood memory, a hand held in the dark. The universe moves by gravity. The human soul does too. Void the emptiness all structures need. Voids hundreds of millions of light years wide. May sound frightening at first, but in truth, without these empty spaces, the cosmic web could not form. Just like in music, where silence is as essential as sound. Just like in life, where the empty moments, the lost days, the uncertain nights, the times we do not know who we are often the exact spaces where the soul restructures itself, where new connections quietly form. Nietzsche once wrote in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, "You must have chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star." And perhaps the dancing stars of every human life also need their voids, their inner emptiness, in order to be born from silence itself. So when we think about the Boötes Void, a region so vast that light takes 300 million years to cross it, we no longer feel fear. We feel a deep stillness, a primordial quiet, like the darkness before a new idea is born. Connection between the universe and the human spirit. The most astonishing thing is this: though the cosmic web exceeds every scale we can imagine, it reminds us of something profoundly human: connection. We belong to a network. We are held by invisible bonds. We exist because of the lights around us. Just as galaxies anchor themselves to strands of dark matter, we anchor ourselves to one another through threads we rarely see. Love, memory, kindness, empathy. When we lie down on a quiet night like this, letting a soft voice guide us through the layers of the cosmos, we suddenly realize that this connection has always been there, even on days we feel alone. The universe is not fragmented. Human beings are not solitary. The cosmic web, a map of the mind. And then when we observe the cosmic web from afar, we see long threads, dark regions, luminous nodes separated by millions of light years, and they look strikingly like a map of consciousness. Each galaxy is a thought, each intersection a memory, each void a sorrow dissolving slowly, each filament an invisible current binding everything together. Perhaps the cosmic web is not only the structure of the universe, but also the structure of ourselves, a seamless passage into the next chapter. And as we drift toward the end of this chapter, imagine that these vast cosmic threads do not only connect galaxies, they also guide us into the next stories of the universe, where galaxies merge, transform, collide, and evolve like chapters of an endless book. We have walked through the foundation of the cosmos, the hidden skeleton behind everything that exists. Now it is time to continue the journey to understand how galaxies formed, changed, and moved over billions of years. Slowly now, let the cosmic web carry us into the next chapter, the ceaseless journey of cosmic evolution. As we drift away from the cosmic web where strands of light and shadow weave together like invisible threads of fate, a new question rises softly like a thin curl of smoke, dissolving into the air. How did the galaxies resting on that cosmic lattice live their lives? How were they born? How did they grow, transform, and fade over the span of billions of years? If the cosmic web is the universe's skeleton, then the evolution of galaxies is its heartbeat. Slow, powerful, resonant pulsing through every collision, every merger, every generation of stars that flares into brilliance and then disappears. As your body loosens and your breath naturally settles into a calmer rhythm, let me guide you deeper through these immense life cycles where every galaxy carries its own story, just as every human being carries a private inner journey only they can understand. Collisions that last billions of years. Unlike the violent imagery the word collision often evokes, the blending of galaxies unfolds so slowly that it becomes almost gentle. Two galaxies can spend billions of years drifting toward one another, brushing against each other, twisting together, and eventually merging into a new being. No massive explosion, no instant destruction. Only the slow movement of light gas and elongated spiral arms stretching across space. Much like the people we meet in this lifetime. Not every collision wounds us. Some encounters arrive tenderly, and over time quietly redirect the course of our entire existence the same way two galaxies silently bend each other's orbit. The Milky Way, our home, is also following this path. In about 4.5 billion years, our galaxy will merge with Andromeda, forming a new galactic body scientists call Milky Way. When heard at night, this idea does not inspire fear. Instead, it brings a soft sense of peace. A reminder that every change, no matter how vast, is simply a natural part of the universe's flow. The birth and death cycles of stars. When two galaxies collide, not everything is created or destroyed. Rather, the process resembles a two-part symphony, one movement blazing with energy, the other falling into quiet stillness. In some regions, gas and dust compress, igniting intense starbursts where millions of new stars are born. In other regions, gas is blown away or drawn into the central core, suppressing the birth of stars entirely. Some places fill with light, others deepen into darkness. Some shine like spring, while others rest like winter. Just like the human heart, forever carrying bright corners and shadowed ones, places that bloom and places that sleep. Nietzsche once wrote in The Gay Science, "You must become who you are." And perhaps galaxies are the same. They evolve not to become something else, but to become the form that their natural journey leads them toward. Dark matter, the invisible hand shaping destiny. But none of these changes happen by accident. Behind every collision, every spiraling curve, every stretched orbit lies the silent influence of the dark matter halo, the invisible shell surrounding each galaxy. We cannot see it. We cannot touch it. Yet it shapes everything. Much like the deep forces within every person, the hidden drives we do not fully understand yet that constantly steer how we act, love, fear, and grow. Carl Jung called these forces the unconscious, and in the Archetypes and the Collective Unconscious he wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Just as dark matter shapes the destiny of galaxies, the hidden parts of our souls map the curves of our lives, curves we only understand when we look back. Gas dust and the quiet strength of delicate things. Between the stars lies a fragile mixture of gas and dust, small, quiet, unassuming, yet essential to the survival of galaxies. Without them, stars cannot form. Without them, a galaxy slowly ages, cools, and fades. So it is with people. The smallest things, a word of encouragement, an embrace, a childhood memory, nourish us longer and deeper than we realize. We often overvalue grand events and overlook the soft, delicate details. Yet it is these fragile elements within the soul that create true resilience. The universe and the human heart, sometimes they mirror each other so closely. The heart of every galaxy, the supermassive black hole, and at the center of each galaxy lies another entity, dark, enigmatic, yet overwhelmingly powerful, the supermassive black hole, a force capable of bending space and time. And yet strangely, it spends much of its existence in stillness, quiet, as though in meditation, resting like a being half asleep. It is very much like the human heart, a deep chamber where experiences, pains, memories, and unspoken truths are kept, a place both frightening and sacred. And just as black holes can unleash some of the brightest light in the universe, human beings too can create their most beautiful expressions from the darkest parts of themselves. The evolution of galaxies and our own evolution. When we combine everything, dark matter, gas dust, the silent center, and countless cosmic collisions, we understand that a galaxy is never static. It is always in the process of becoming, always changing, always rebuilding itself. And so are we. No one sleeps and wakes as exactly the same person they were the day before. Every encounter, every hurt, every love, every regret reshapes us. Some grow from sadness, some mature through loneliness. Some are reborn after storms that seem certain to break them. The universe evolves this way, and so do we. And as our journey through the galaxies softens into calm, we take one more step into the deeper layers of the cosmos, into the realm where humans, though small, have found ways to measure the vast distances between stars. From understanding structure to understanding change, now comes the time to understand how we know any of this at all. Come with me slowly into the next chapter, the cosmic distance ladder, where science and human intuition meet to create a quiet wonder. As our journey moves through the evolution of galaxies, colossal beings drifting silently across the canvas of the universe, a wondrous question touches the mind with a soft, quiet spark. How can human beings so small and fragile measure distances so immense that even light needs billions of years to cross them? In that moment, we sense something profound between the boundless cosmos and the tender human heart. There exists a bridge, a delicate ladder built from intuition, patience, and imagination. The motion of galaxies unfolds over billions of years. But the moment a person looks up at the sky and asks, how far is it, happens in only a few seconds. And those few seconds were enough to open an entire science, a quest longer than human history itself. Nietzsche once wrote, in human, all too human, he who has a why to live can bear almost any how. And perhaps humanity's why is the longing to understand the universe, to measure the infinite in order to rediscover ourselves. Henrietta Leavitt, the woman who listened to the heartbeat of stars. To begin this cosmic ladder, we must travel back more than a century into a small room at the Harvard College Observatory, where Henrietta Swan Leavitt, a humble woman with patient eyes, quietly changed the story of astronomy. She studied Cepheid variable stars, stars that brighten and dim in regular rhythms like the heartbeat of the cosmos. And from thousands of cycles of flickering light, Henrietta discovered a simple yet astonishing truth. The longer the light cycle, the brighter the star. A formula gentle as a breath, yet powerful enough to open the door to measuring the universe. From this, astronomers could know not only how bright a star truly is, but how far away it must be. Suddenly, the universe grew less opaque. The stars felt less remote. Distance, once thought impossible to grasp, became something we could understand. Henrietta was the first to place her foot on the lowest rung of the cosmic distance ladder. And sometimes, in a quiet night like this, when we think of her, it feels as though we can hear a whisper. Even a small act of human patience can change the way all of humanity looks at the sky. Type Ia supernovae, exploding beacons in the dark, but the universe stretches far beyond the reach of Cepheid stars. When their light is not strong enough to travel hundreds of millions or billions of light years, we need something brighter, something bursting with unmistakable intensity. And so type Ia supernovae appear, the beacons of the universe. When a white dwarf in a binary system absorbs too much material from its companion star, it reaches a limit and explodes. A single dying star becomes brighter than the entire galaxy it lives in. The wonder lies in this all-type Ia supernovae explode with nearly the same intrinsic brightness. This means that simply by observing how bright one appears in the sky, we can determine exactly how far away it is, a simple ruler, a stellar death that illuminates an entire chapter of human knowledge. In the darkness of billions of light years, these explosions whisper even endings can bring light. Just like in our own lives, sometimes in the breaking, we understand ourselves more deeply. The cosmic microwave background, the oldest light in existence, but to measure the universe all the way to the edge of what can be observed, we must travel back nearly 14 billion years to the earliest moments after the Big Bang, when the universe was a blazing ocean of hot plasma. Back then, light could not move freely. Every photon was scattered continuously like a soul unable to find its path. Only when the universe cooled enough for protons and electrons to combine into atoms was light finally released, and its journey through time began. That ancient light is the cosmic microwave background CMB. When we observe the CMB, we are gazing into the deepest past humans have ever reached, into the tiny ripples in matter density that became the seeds of galaxies, galaxy clusters, and the cosmic web we explored earlier. The tiny fluctuations in the CMB, differences of only 1 part in 100,000, became the largest measuring scale the human mind has ever imagined. Gravitational lensing. When space itself becomes a lens, this grand measurement is strengthened by a phenomenon Einstein predicted: gravitational lensing. When light passes near a massive object, space bends, causing the light to curve as if through a lens. Faint rings of light, stretched arcs, doubled images of distant galaxies. All are artworks carved by the curvature of space-time. By studying how light is bent, we can know how far behind the source truly is, how massive the object in front must be. Space, once thought empty, becomes a giant mirror, one that helps us measure the impossible. Redshift. When light tells the universe's story, every beam of light from a galaxy carries a message. If the universe is expanding, its light stretches on the way to us, shifting toward red. This redshift becomes a guide telling us how far a galaxy has moved from us and how long its light has been traveling. Redshift is like an ancient diary the universe wrote in its own illumination. And when we learn to read it, we learn to look back through 13.8 billion years of existence. Measurement and the humility of human understanding. What moves us most is not the precision of these cosmic tools, but the quiet yearning behind them. Humans seek to understand the universe, not because the universe requires understanding, but because the soul needs a mirror. Henry David Thoreau wrote in Walden, "The universe is wider than our views of it." And perhaps we can say this too: human beings are deeper than the thoughts they hold about themselves. We measure the universe, and at the same time measure the hidden chambers of our own being. And now, as the rungs of the cosmic distance ladder rise before us, from Cepheids to supernovae, from the CMB to gravitational lensing, we begin to see more clearly the great darknesses, the invisible masses governing every movement. It is here that the journey leads us to the next realm: dark matter and dark energy, the universe's two greatest mysteries, the silent forces that keep all things in motion. Slowly now, let your breath carry you gently into the next chapter. As we leave behind the journey of measuring cosmic distances, from Cepheid stars flickering like heartbeats to the ancient light of the cosmic microwave background, a gentle stillness begins to bloom, as though the universe sits beside us in the night and whispers a secret not found in light but in shadow. For everything we see, spiral galaxies, radiant star clusters, supernova explosions, misty nebulae, is only the visible tip of an immense cosmic iceberg. These luminous wonders make up just 5% of the universe. The other 95% is something we cannot see, cannot touch, does not shine. Yet it determines every motion, every structure, every destiny of the cosmos. And now we enter the deepest realm of this journey, the hidden half of existence: dark matter and dark energy. Dark matter, the invisible mass that keeps the universe from falling apart. Imagine gazing at a galaxy turning in the night, its spiral arms glowing with starlight, swirling outward like a cosmic flower, spinning in the quiet wind of space. If we relied only on the starlight, we can measure that galaxy should fly apart. Its stars should be flung outward into the void, their speeds far too high for the visible mass to hold them. But they do not drift away. They remain in a sleeping order, as if held by an unseen hand. That hand is dark matter. It makes up 85% of all matter in the universe. It emits no light, reflects none, absorbs none. It is simply there silently binding galaxies together, stringing stars and clusters and entire galaxies into the cosmic web we explored earlier. And thinking about dark matter on a quiet night like this, we suddenly realize something. Not everything important needs to be seen. Some things hold us together without ever being named, a small blessing whispered to us. Someone quietly staying by our side, memories we no longer recall yet still shape us, a deep part of the soul we often forget exists. Carl Jung once wrote, "In modern man in search of a soul, there is no light without shadow, and no psychic wholeness without imperfection." Just as dark matter forms the skeleton of the universe, the shadows within our inner life form the wholeness of who we are. Puzzles with no answers yet. Even though dark matter is everywhere, we still do not know what it is. And that mystery gives rise to some of the most challenging questions in modern physics. The missing satellites problem simulations show that a galaxy like the Milky Way should have thousands of smaller companion galaxies. But in reality, we see only a few dozen. Where are the rest? No one knows. The core cusp problem theory predicts a sharp, dense core of dark matter at the center of galaxies. But observations show soft, gentle centers instead, as if the universe is saying, not everything mathematics predicts is what we experience. The true nature of dark matter, is it a particle of field, a new form of physics the human mind has yet to touch? In the quiet of night, these questions echo like distant voices across time, not to trouble us, but to remind us that not everything needs an immediate answer. Dark energy, the silent force pushing the universe apart. If dark matter is the force that pulls things together, dark energy is the force that pushes everything apart. In 1998, scientists discovered something unbelievable. The universe is not slowing down, it is accelerating. As if a second invisible hand, lighter, subtler, is stretching the fabric of space, gently pushing galaxies farther and farther away. Dark energy makes up 68% of the universe's total energy. It is not light, not matter, not a wave, not anything that fits into our familiar categories. It simply causes space to expand. And once more, we see ourselves reflected in it. Some distances in life are not created by anger or action. They simply happen, quietly. Gradually, like two people who were once close slowly drifting apart in a silence neither fully understands. The cause is hard to grasp, but the distance is unmistakable. Nietzsche wrote, "In beyond good and evil, invisible threads are the strongest ties." Dark energy is just such a thread strong enough to push entire galaxies away at ever-increasing speeds. The cosmological constant problem, the greatest mismatch in the history of physics. If dark energy is linked to vacuum energy, as some theories suggest, then quantum physics predicts a value 120 times larger than what we observe. It is the largest discrepancy ever seen in science. But in the slow, gentle pace of tonight's reflection, this no longer feels like a frustrating riddle. It feels like a tender reminder. Some things in the universe and within ourselves cannot be measured by formulas. Science is light. But the universe and the human heart contains darkness that light has not yet reached. The essence of not knowing and the peace within it. The beauty of dark matter and dark energy does not lie merely in their mystery, but in the way humanity accepts quietly that there are limits we have not yet crossed. Not to surrender, but to understand that the journey to know the universe, like the journey to know ourselves, is far from over. Henry David Thoreau once whispered in Walden, "We must learn to reawaken and keep ourselves awake by an infinite expectation of the dawn." The universe is a dawn not yet arrived, and as we listen to it, we are also waiting for a dawn of our own. And as we drift gently away from the serene darkness of dark matter and dark energy, we begin to see that to understand the hidden 95% of the universe, we must return to its beginning, to the moment when the first light was born. From the universe's shadowed half, we move toward its earliest creation. Now let your mind float softly into the next chapter, the Big Bang. Inflation and the ancient backdrop of light, the cosmic microwave background. Slowly now, let darkness and light guide you into the sleep of the stars. As we slowly leave behind the realm of the unseen dark matter and dark energy, the silent ingredients that make up nearly all of the universe, a very particular feeling rises in the night. Like standing before a vast dark canvas and quietly wondering if this is what surrounds us, then where did it all begin? The question drifts as softly as a breath, yet it opens the door to the deepest chamber of our journey, the moment of birth, where every beam of light, every particle, every law, every mystery began from a single solitary instant, a moment we call the Big Bang. And strangely, what we often imagine as a violent cosmic explosion was not a blast of noise, but a gentle unfolding. A swelling of space, delicate as the universe's very first heartbeat. When we allow the mind to quiet itself in the night, the Big Bang no longer feels like an explosion, but the first whisper of existence. Inflation the moment the universe opened its eyes, right after the Big Bang. The universe entered a phase so strange it sits beyond the reach of human intuition. Inflation. In 10 and 36 seconds, a span so small the human mind cannot truly grasp it. The universe expanded so rapidly that every point in space flew away from every other faster than the speed of light. Not because anything moved faster than light, but because space itself was stretching. This expansion smoothed out every wrinkle in space-time, giving rise to the remarkable flatness we measure today. It also evened out the distribution of matter, creating the astonishing uniformity of the cosmos. And most profoundly, it magnified tiny quantum fluctuations into the primordial ripples that became the blueprint of all cosmic structure. It is strange, almost poetic, to think that all galaxies, clusters of galaxies, the entire cosmic web, and the Milky Way itself were seeded from vibrations smaller than the dust of the quantum realm. Just as within every human soul, great transformations often begin from tremors almost too small to notice. Alan Watts once wrote in the book, "You are the Big Bang, the original force of the universe coming on as whoever you are." And tonight as you listen, perhaps you'll feel that you too are part of that unfolding. When the first light was set free, after the Big Bang and inflation, the universe remained a burning ocean of plasma, dense and electric. Every photon, every light particle was scattered endlessly like a wandering spirit, unable to travel more than a few millimeters before being stopped. Then 380,000 years passed. The universe cooled enough for protons and electrons to join, forming neutral hydrogen atoms. And in that moment, light was released. That light departed from its birthplace, traveling across space, moving through time, passing through the birth of galaxies, through supernova explosions, through the emergence of Earth, and still it travels until it touches the mirrors of modern telescopes. That ancient light is the cosmic microwave background CMB, the oldest portrait of the universe captured when it was only 380,000 years old. When we observe the CMB, we are not simply looking at an image. We are gazing into the deepest past we will ever witness. It is like closing your eyes to remember childhood, not seeking answers, but reminding yourself that everything has an origin, a gentle beginning, even if life grows complicated along the way. CMB, the ripples that recount the story of time. On the CMB map, the bright and dark patches differ by only 1 part in 100 Nielsen, so small a variation it seems meaningless. But those tiny fluctuations became the seeds of all structure. Slightly denser regions, galaxies; slightly thinner regions, cosmic voids; stronger vibrations, galaxy clusters; gentler ones. The darkness between the CMB is the newborn universe's map, a first portrait still carrying the innocence and stillness of primordial time. And astonishingly, these faint ripples allow us to measure the universe's size, its age, and its rate of expansion. The cosmos is telling the story of its life in the language of cold light and delicate waves. From quantum interference to the shape of galaxies, what leaves many people in a kind of meditative silence is this realization. Everything we see today, galaxies, stars, planets, and even ourselves, began from quantum vibrations smaller than dust. From these uncertain oscillations, the universe shaped everything, a truth that evokes Shakespeare's line from The Tempest. "We are such stuff as dreams are made on." Perhaps the universe is the same. It too is woven from quantum dreams, tiny tremors that inflation stretched into the cosmic architecture of existence. The CMB, the lullaby left from creation. People often say the CMB is the echo of the Big Bang, but in the slow rhythm of tonight's story, I like to think of it as the universe's first lullaby, a soft hum it whispered to itself at the dawn of time. That light is gentle, cold, yet profoundly peaceful, like the faint resonance of a distant bell echoing across space, reminding us of the beginning of every life, every story, every gaze, every sorrow and joy we have ever known. The universe did not begin with pure chaos, but with a quiet expansion followed by a tender release of light, like a first breath, like the instant a child opens its eyes. And as we slowly drift away from that primordial era from the moment the first light was born, we move into deeper realms where space bends, time curls, and stars collapse, sending signals that travel across billions of light years. From the radiant beginning, we now enter the deepest shadow, black holes and gravitational waves, the whispers of space-time itself. Softly now, let your breath slow, and let the next chapter pull you deeper into the universe's dreaming. As we drift away from the universe's earliest dawn, from the moment when the first light was freed from the soft, ancient song of the cosmic microwave background, something strange begins to emerge. We start to feel the universe's darkness more vividly. Not the darkness of emptiness, but the darkness of something sacred, a realm where space bends, time slows, and things lose the familiar shapes they once held. And in that deepest layer of shadow, we encounter black holes, the extreme beings where physics reaches its most profound limits. If the CMB is the universe's first lullaby, then black holes are its slow, resonant drums, deep pulses echoing in the heart of space-time, heard only by those who listen with great stillness. Nietzsche once wrote in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, "And if you gaze long enough into an abyss, the abyss will gaze back into you." When we look into a black hole, we do not merely see the universe, we see ourselves. The origin of black holes when light bows before gravity. Black holes are not monsters as we once imagined. They are the natural result of something deeply familiar, the death of a star. When a massive star reaches the end of its life, it can no longer resist the gravity of its own weight. Its core collapses at an unimaginable speed, matter compressing to a density beyond comprehension, and in that instant, a black hole is born. No light escapes, no signal returns. Nothing crosses the event horizon, the boundary beyond which every path curves inward. But the truth is gentler than our fears. Black holes do not devour everything. They behave like any ordinary mass from afar. Objects fall into them only when they wander too close. Just as in the human heart, our deepest sorrows do not always pull us in. Only when we stand too close do we feel their gravity. Supermassive black holes, the quiet hearts of galaxies. At the center of nearly every galaxy, including our Milky Way, lies a supermassive black hole, SMBH. They are not cosmic beasts consuming all around them. They are more like ancient monuments, heavy, quiet, patient, around which entire galaxies swirl like spiral arms in slow celestial dance. How these giants formed remains a mystery. Perhaps from the collapse of the universe's first massive stars, perhaps from primordial clouds of gas condensing into dense cores, perhaps from endless mergers across cosmic time. But one thing is certain. They sit at the center of a structure far greater than we imagine, an anchor in the chaos of the universe. And sometimes in the stillness of night, we sense we are also circling our own supermassive centers, deep memories, untold stories, old wounds. Not to fall into them, but to recognize it is often the darkest parts of us that shape our growth, our stability, and our quiet, enduring order. Gravitational waves, when the universe whispers through space-time. For billions of years, black holes and neutron stars spiraled toward each other in perfect silence. No light, no sound, no signal escaping the cold fabric of space. Then, on September 14th, 2015, humanity heard something for the very first time. A tiny chirp lasting less than a second picked up by LIGO's detectors. But that chirp was not sound at all. It was a gravitational wave, a ripple in space-time itself created when two black holes merged 1.3 billion light-years away. The heart of the cosmos beat, and at last we listened. Einstein once doubted such waves could ever be detected, yet they arrived soft as a raindrop, but carrying the power of colliding stars, a message traveling longer than any civilization has existed. And in that moment, in the quiet of night, we felt ourselves small, but also deeply fortunate. For the first time, humanity did not merely observe the universe, we heard it. Neutron star mergers where gold is born. One of the universe's most beautiful lights does not come from newborn stars, but from the collision of two neutron stars' cores, so dense that a teaspoon would weigh as much as a mountain. When such stars orbit each other and finally collide, the explosion is immense. It forges heavy elements, gold, platinum, uranium, which means the ring on your finger may be the remnant of a neutron star merger from billions of years ago. A beauty born from death, a light rising from an ending. Just like life itself, sometimes it is from our greatest losses that we discover the deepest tendernesses. Lisa, humanity's new ears. In the coming years, humanity will send a new listener into space. Lisa, a space-based observatory tuned to low-frequency gravitational waves, the deep tones of merging supermassive black holes. When Lisa begins listening, it will reveal the most profound symphony of the cosmos, frequencies the Earth cannot hear, whispers of space-time we never knew were singing. For the first time, we will hear the merging of entities larger than entire galaxies. The silence of the universe will begin to sound like music. And as we listen to these ripples from black holes, from neutron stars, from the stretching and curling of space-time, we begin to understand these signals do not exist alone. They unfold within structures much larger, giant galaxy clusters, superclusters, vast cities of light exceeding all imagination. From the smallest vibrations, we will move toward the largest structures. Let your breath slow a little further, and together we will drift into the next chapter in the quiet vastness of space. After listening to the universe's secret vibrations, the gravitational waves drifting to us from merging black holes and neutron stars, we begin to sense something deeper. The universe is not a collection of isolated objects. It is a layered symphony where every ripple, every event, every glimmer of light and shade belongs to a structure far larger than anything the human mind normally imagines. If black holes are the deep drums echoing from the heart of space, then galaxy clusters and superclusters are the vast oceans where those echoes travel. They are cosmic megacities, immense realms where thousands of galaxies rest together, moving in the shared embrace of gravity and darkness. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, all things are woven together and the bond is sacred. And when we look at these colossal structures, we see that sacred woven fabric more clearly than ever. Galaxy clusters, cities of light in the emptiness. Imagine a night without wind, without artificial light, without borders, only an endless expanse where thousands of galaxies gleam like scattered islands. That is a galaxy cluster. Each cluster contains from a few hundred to several thousand galaxies. Between them lies a sea of superheated gas glowing at tens of millions of degrees, shining intensely in X-rays. Surrounding it all is a vast halo of dark matter, the invisible framework holding the cluster together, preventing its galaxies from drifting into the black. From afar, they appear as tiny fireflies. But if we draw closer with imagination with tonight's quiet, each spark becomes a world of its own, hundreds of billions of stars, millions of potential realms for life, thousands of cosmic stories. The universe has not yet spoken. And somewhere among those galaxies, perhaps, someone is looking up at their own sky, wondering about existence just as you are tonight. Gravitational lensing, when space becomes the universe's largest mirror, galaxy clusters are not only glowing cities, they are also enormous lenses. Their gravitational pull bends light from galaxies behind them, a phenomenon known as gravitational lensing. Through this, we can see galaxies far beyond the reach of ordinary sight, faint curved arcs of light, elongated streaks like abstract paintings, doubled and tripled images of the same distant galaxy, all shaped by the structure of space itself. Just as in life, sometimes we must view our world through curved lenses, through sorrow, memory, or loss, to witness truths we cannot see through clear eyes. The universe bends light so we may see farther. Life bends us so we may see deeper. Nietzsche wrote in Beyond Good and Evil, there are no facts, only interpretations. And gravitational lensing may be the most astonishing reflection of that idea. A cosmic dance, thousands of galaxies moving as one. Though they appear still galaxies within a cluster are constantly in motion. They orbit the cluster's center at thousands of kilometers per second. They interact, share gas, occasionally collide or merge. This movement is not chaos. It follows a hidden order, a rhythm shaped by dark matter, that unseen presence whose influence we always feel. And watching this dance, we suddenly sense that we too are moving through a greater choreography, the dances of emotion, of memory, of connection, loss, and reunion. No galaxy moves alone, and no human life exists without touching another. Superclusters, the largest architecture in the universe. If galaxy clusters are cities, then superclusters are continent structures so vast they exceed every ordinary sense of scale. Our Milky Way lives inside a supercluster called Laniakea, a Hawaiian word meaning immeasurable heavens. Laniakea is not just a home to galaxy clusters. It defines the grand direction of our movement, the flow of the local group, the small cluster containing the Milky Way. Imagine standing on a boat in the dark sea. You may not feel the boat moving yet. You drift with the ocean's current. The Milky Way is the same. It drifts softly yet endlessly, following the gravitational rivers of the supercluster drawn toward denser regions. There is a quiet beauty in that drifting, a sense of surrender. We do not need to resist the flow of the universe. We only need to understand that we are moving in a vast, graceful order. Humility in the face of scale. When we contemplate galaxy clusters and superclusters, we do not feel fear. Strangely, we feel lighter, because the universe's greatest architectures are composed of countless small pieces. Tiny galaxies, lonely stars, anonymous dust. And we realize human beings are the same. We are part of families, part of nations, part of histories, part of the cosmos. We do not need to shine like a star, nor become the center of any cluster. Simply being part of a larger structure is enough to discover meaning. As Carl Sagan wrote in Cosmos, we are a way for the cosmos to know itself, and as we quietly reflect on superclusters, we help the universe understand itself. And then after gazing at these colossal continents of the cosmos, these luminous megacities in the dark, we begin to realize something. Between these dense regions lie enormous spaces so vast they defy imagination. Great cosmic voids, the silent chambers of existence making up most of the universe's volume. Just as in the human heart, between our bright moments lie stretches of quiet emptiness, reflection. Now we move into one of the most tranquil chapters of our journey, cosmic voids, the still, meaningful, empty spaces of the universe. Let your breath slow, and we will drift gently into that peaceful realm in the next chapter. As we drift away from the colossal superclusters, those luminous continents where thousands of galaxies gather like cities of light, we step into their perfect opposite. A realm so quiet it feels invisible, an ocean of darkness stretching hundreds of millions of light years without a single star to anchor the gaze. This is the cosmic void, the largest empty space in the universe. If superclusters are radiant continents, then voids are the bottomless oceans. If galaxy clusters whisper of life, voids embody the breath of absolute stillness. And perhaps nowhere else in the cosmos do we confront more clearly both our own smallness and the vastness of the inner silence we carry. A space that feels empty, but makes up most of the universe. A strange truth, 80% of the universe's volume consists of regions that are nearly empty. No stars, no galaxies, no light. Only a faint mist of hydrogen so sparse that a few atoms drift within every cubic meter like distant echoes left from the dawn of the cosmos. Voids such as the Bode is void, spanning 330 million light years, remind us that the universe is not built from stars, but from the spaces between them. Just like human beings, we are not made only from memories, feelings, or experiences, but from the quiet between them, the unspoken pauses, the unanswered moments, the emptiness we try so hard to avoid. As Rumi wrote in The Essential Rumi, the quieter you become, the more you are able to hear. Cosmic voids are the same. The deeper the silence, the more they reveal. A void is not absence, it is structure. Though they seem empty, voids are not nothing. They are consequences of cosmic expansion of dark energy and of matter, flowing from low-density regions into dense ones to build the superclusters we see today. Over billions of years, dense regions grow denser. Empty regions grow emptier. Voids expand like the lungs of the universe as it breathes. Voids and clusters are opposites yet inseparable two sides of the same coin. One pulls, one pushes. One condenses matter into light, the other lets light dissolve into shadow, all part of one cosmic rhythm. Nietzsche wrote in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, one must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. And the universe seems to whisper back, to create stars, the cosmos needs both chaos and void, both turbulence and infinite quiet. Voids, the natural laboratories of dark energy. In voids where matter is almost absent, dark energy shows its influence most clearly. There, the universe's expansion accelerates more freely, more smoothly, more purely, like the distant echo of an invisible force stretching everything apart. When physicists peer into voids, they do not see emptiness. They see the fingerprints of dark energy, the force that permeates 68% of the universe, yet remains one of its deepest mysteries. A void is a mirror. Not one that reflects light, but one that reflects the motion of space itself. To look into a void is to witness the silence between the universe's breaths, a place where dark energy is at its strongest. Where galaxies become solitary and become themselves, the rare galaxies that exist inside voids look different from the bustling galaxies and clusters. They are solitary, they are undisturbed, free from collisions, from cosmic traffic, from turbulent neighbors. They evolve quietly, younger, bluer, and sometimes form stars more vigorously than their clustered counterparts. Isolation gives them a different life path. pure, untouched, much like the contrast between those living in crowded cities and those living in remote mountains. Both are human, but their worlds unfold differently. And perhaps each of us carries a void within a private silence where we withdraw from the noise to confront ourselves, a space necessary for growth. Voids lessons about silence in human life. We often fear emptiness, silence, stillness in the mind, waiting without answers. But the universe teaches us that emptiness is the foundation of all wonder. Without empty space, how could anything move? Without silence, how could music exist? Without darkness, where would light shine? The voids of the universe resemble the quiet moments of life, the times we believe nothing is happening, while in truth, our inner world is quietly rearranging itself. As Virginia Woolf wrote in The Waves, "I am rooted, but I flow. Voids stand motionless, yet they drift, expanding with the universe's breath. So do we. We stand in the world seemingly still, yet our souls flow with time, with experience, with every silence we learn to hear. From emptiness to the universe's final fate. When we look into voids, we no longer see fear in the emptiness. We see necessity balance the sacredness of the quiet, and we begin to understand the universe will not remain as it is. Space will continue to expand. Voids will widen, consuming more and more of the cosmic landscape, growing like the shadow of time itself. And in some distant future, galaxies will slip beyond each other's sight. Void is not only the present. Void is the future. And so in our next journey, we move into one of the deepest stories in all of cosmology, the ultimate fate of the cosmos, where science, philosophy, and the questions of existence merge into a quiet billion-year sigh. Let your eyes soften. Let your shoulders loosen. Let your mind drift into a silence as gentle as breath. As we drift away from the cosmic voids, those vast silences of the universe where emptiness becomes meaning, we step into a realm of contemplation, even deeper, the future of the cosmos itself. If voids reveal the stillness of the present, then the story of the universe's future opens a different kind of silence, the silence of time, of destiny, of cycles that stretch far beyond human imagination. The universe is not still, it is changing every second. And that change is not merely the motion of galaxies or the travel of light, it is the evolution of space-time itself, from the dawn of creation to the final moments of everything that will ever exist. Tonight, we will travel farther than any familiar boundary so far that questions about life, death, purpose, and meaning become gentle like warm water drifting through the mind. A little hazy, a little wistful, but deeply peaceful. 5 billion years from now, our star will change its shape. In about 5 billion years, the sun, the warm lamp that nurtures life on Earth, will swell into a red giant. Its glowing plasma will expand, possibly engulfing Earth's orbit. But do not imagine a Hollywood apocalypse. Think instead of a natural unfolding, the quiet truth that everything has a life cycle, even stars. Ancient poets spoke of fire as eternal life, but modern physicists understand that all flames must dim. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, all things are in a process of change. No exceptions, no exemptions, only transformation, gentle, natural, endless. Though the sun will transform, the universe will continue its dance. New planets will be born elsewhere. New civilizations will gaze upon different skies. We arrive, we depart. But light in some form always continues. 100 billion years, when the night sky empties. Fast forward to 100 billion years into the future. By then, dark energy, the mysterious force pushing the universe outward, will stretch space-time so rapidly that light from distant galaxies will no longer reach the Milky Way or Milkomeda. After our merger with Andromeda, every galaxy outside the local group will disappear from view, not because they vanish, but because space-time expands too quickly for their light to ever catch us. A sky once ablaze with billions of galaxies will shrink to only a handful of familiar lights. The loneliness of that future universe is strange, beautiful, but tinged with quiet sadness. Perhaps Edison was right when he wrote in Diary and Sundry Observations, "The value of a thought lies in its use." Maybe this cosmic disappearance reminds us that even the universe has limits, not in size, but in what can be seen or known. Even the cosmos keeps some mysteries for itself. 1067 years, the era when black holes begin to evaporate far beyond anything human language can convey. Around 1067 years into the future, all stars, planets, nebulae, and dust will have dissolved into cold remnants. Only black holes will remain quiet, machines swallowing light. But according to Hawking, even black holes are not eternal. They will evaporate, releasing faint quantum radiation, losing mass until they vanish entirely. It is a strange sight to imagine objects that symbolize endings gradually ending themselves, a closed, delicate cosmic loop. As T.S. Eliot wrote in The Hollow Men, this is the way the world ends, not with a bang, but a whimper. No grand explosion, just the slow dimming of one light after another. Heat, death, big rip vacuum, decay. What is the universe's final fate? Cosmologists debate many endings. Heat, death, no temperature differences, no motion, no life. Big rip, dark energy grows stronger, tears galaxies apart, tears atoms apart. Vacuum, decay, a true vacuum bubble forms, expands at light speed, rewrites physics. Cyclic universe collapse, big crunch, new big bang. An endless cycle. We do not know which is true, but in that uncertainty lies something very human. We do not know where our own lives will go either. We only know that we are moving, just as the universe is moving. Alan Watts once said in the book, "The only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance." The universe is dancing its dance, and we small beings within it are turning with it. The void of space is where light thins. The void of time is where events thin. And between these two silences, we discover something simple. All existence is temporary, but its impermanence is beautiful. The universe may end in heat death or the big rip, or it may be born again. But whatever happens, it is a journey, a story larger than all stories. A gentle lesson in impermanence. Impermanence does not frighten us. It softens us. It frees us, because it reminds us. If we are here now, feeling this breath, listening to this voice, that alone is a miracle. When we gaze into this distant future of the universe, we no longer see fear in the ending. We see calm, a letting go, a loving acceptance. The universe may cool, dim, or dissolve, but the deeper question remains. If the universe can end, what is it that makes a single moment in our lives meaningful? That is where philosophy enters, where consciousness, the strangest phenomenon in the cosmos, looks back at itself and wonders about its place. And that is our next journey. Close your eyes for a moment, let your shoulders loosen, let your breath slow, and together we will move softly, deeply into the final chapter of this cosmic story. After wandering through the long chapters of cosmology, from the birth of galaxies to evaporating black holes to distant futures where even light grows dim, perhaps a very small, very human question is now echoing within you. Among all this vastness, who are we? Strangely, the question does not overwhelm. Instead, it feels like a long, soft exhale, a gentle pull drawing the mind back from the immensity of the cosmos to the fragility within our own chest. The next part will lead us into the present moment, a fragile point suspended between the infinity before and the infinity after. And in that fragility, the human voice begins to ask. Humans, a temporary arrangement of matter that dares to ask, why? From the viewpoint of physics, humans are exceedingly small. We are temporary gatherings of stardust, electrons, protons, neutrons forged in the hearts of ancient stars that died billions of years ago. These particles come together, briefly become consciousness memory, feeling then gently disperse, returning to the cosmos. A soft circle, a complete loop. Carl Sagan once wrote in Cosmos, "We are a way for the universe to know itself." And that is not just a beautiful line, it is a strange truth. Humans are not standing outside the universe observing it. We are part of it. We are the product of stars, of time, of evolution. The universe does not see us as outsiders, but as its own eyes. When we gaze at the night sky, it is one of the rare moments when the universe uses the very atoms within us to look back at itself. Consciousness, the strangest thing the universe has ever made. What makes humans extraordinary is not strength or form or biological complexity. It is self-awareness, the ability to know that we know. Consciousness is not merely a light, it is a mirror the universe crafted to look back at itself, to ask, to imagine, to dream. Nietzsche wrote in The Will to Power, "In every man there is an abyss, and indeed every human being contains such an abyss. But this abyss is not a darkness to fear. It is the space where unanswerable questions live, where we sense that existence is not something to understand, but something to feel." Consciousness is the gift the universe gives to itself, fragile but immeasurably precious. The Fermi paradox. Why are we still alone? When we look at trillions of galaxies and countless worlds, it seems almost certain that life cannot have bloomed only here. Yet so far we have heard no reply. No signals, no greetings, not even a distant echo. This silence unsettles philosophers and cosmologists alike. Is intelligence incredibly rare? Do civilizations destroy themselves before they grow old enough to reach outward? Do advanced beings remain silent to avoid disturbing emerging minds like ours? Or are we the first buds of consciousness born in the cosmos? This question is not meant to frighten us. Instead, it carries a quiet tenderness. If we are truly alone, then every thought, every emotion, every act of kindness is infinitely more sacred. The fragility and wonder of simply existing, the universe took 13.8 billion years to arrange itself into what we call consciousness. A perfect constellation of physics, chemistry, biology, evolution, all aligning at the right place, the right moment. Our existence is not guaranteed. It is a delicate romance between chance and necessity, and its fragility is what makes it beautiful. Virginia Woolf wrote in To the Lighthouse, "What is the meaning of life? That was all a simple question, one that tended to close in on one with years. We do not live to answer the question. We live to feel it. The universe does not demand understanding. It simply asks us to listen. The infinite expansion, the isolation of galaxies, the death of black holes, the possible ends of the cosmos. Everything dims, everything cools, everything drifts into silence. But precisely within that silence, the question of human meaning becomes more radiant than ever. If the universe can end, what makes a small moment curled up under a blanket, listening to this voice worth living? If every galaxy will eventually disappear, why is a single embrace warm enough to make us weep? If starlight can fade, why does one sentence, one hand in another, one glance through a window, shine like its own universe? Because such moments are not eternal. They happen only once. Humans, not the center of the universe, but the place where the universe is felt. Science has removed us from the old throne of being the cosmic center. But philosophy returns to us a different kind of center, the center of experience. The universe has no meaning unless someone observes it, dreams of it, questions it, loves it. We are small, but through consciousness, we become the place where all the stars gather within the mind. John Wheeler once said, "We are participants in bringing into being not only the near and here, but the far away and long ago. We do not just see the universe, we help it matter." Closing a cosmic epic and a reflection of ourselves, looking back on this journey from the unborn Milky Way to evaporating black holes, endless voids, and heat, death, we understand something. The universe is not merely the story of stars, it is the story of us. A cosmic epic in which each human being is a note, a flicker, a breath. A lesson in humility and in the quiet magnificence of existing amid the infinite. The universe is too vast to comprehend with thought, and we are too small to face it with anything but the heart. Close your eyes. Breathe a little slower. Feel the warmth of your own being, a small piece of the universe listening to itself. And as you drift into sleep tonight, remember, you are not just in the universe. You are part of the story the universe is telling.